What's going on, everybody? We are live for Freedom Builder Bootcamp Q&A. I'm excited to be talking to you guys again. Go ahead and drop your questions in the chat box. And today, I'm bringing Rolando back. He's done such a nice job the past few weeks. We need to bring him on again. What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening? Greg, what's happening, Freedom Builders? So excited to be here. Chatting it up, answering any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, so let us know. I think by now you guys probably know how these work, but we are here to answer any of the questions that you have for us. So drop them in the chat box. We will answer all of them for you. And we don't have any set agenda besides answering all your questions. So let's hear them.
There was some questions that were previously dropped in. I can start there, Greg. Looks like Vanessa had a couple of questions here. It's a four-part question. The first question is, if I have set up Amazon seller accounts in the past for other clients, will my IP MAC address be saved and seen as a potential blocked Amazon account? So that's the first question. Second one is, if I were to log into my Amazon account under the same network, an example, public Wi-Fi, as another Amazon seller, would Amazon see that as suspicious activity? And then the third question is it true that Amazon will see it as a suspicious activity if I log in on my Amazon seller account from different countries? And lastly, is buying a hotspot necessary?
All right. So a few things here. One, Amazon only allows one seller account per person, or I think technically in the rules it kind of says like per household, and like to be safe I'd probably do one per household. The way that Amazon determines this is very sophisticated. It's not just your IP address. All right, they use like what's called like your browser fingerprint, which is the combination of a whole different things. So they essentially understand really well what computer is logging onto it, not just based off IP, but based off a whole other things. If you want to read more about it, just Google like browser fingerprint. But then the other thing is they'll also, of course, look like, is this a unique name, a unique bank account, a unique passport, unique LLC, like all those different types of things. So if you legitimately only have one seller account, I wouldn't be worried about it. If you have a bunch of seller accounts, Amazon probably does know about it. What typically happens is people are able to run multiple seller accounts until they get in trouble for something, at what point one gets suspended, and when one gets suspended, they all get suspended. So I think that answers all your questions kind of.
Yeah, looks like they're all along the same vein. There was another question here by Kate. Kate was asking, if we do not have brand registry completed yet and we want to launch it, I was curious if you had more direction for how to fill out the listing, specifically brand name and manufacturer. I made a mistake in putting my brand that isn't registered yet. An error code has been reviewed by Amazon for almost 4 weeks now. My UPC is attached to it and I can't get it resolved yet. Live and learn. I hope others don't run into this problem.
So I don't think I understand what error code's going on. The brand name that you use in that field needs to be the same brand name that you're trademarking, because that's what you'll be brand registered for. I don't know. Do you know anything beside or more than that, Rolando?
It looks like it's possible that it might not even be necessarily brand registers, more when they entered the brand name in the field, when that's possibly what they're running into, that they can't change it out. That is going to be a problem. It's just a matter of working with seller support. A lot of times what I do is if I get in contact with one and that person just is not helpful, maybe doesn't have all the information, all the resources, I'll just hang up, call back again, and 9 times out of 10, I'll get someone that can actually assist me, and they have a team. If this is related to brand registry, they actually do have a team devoted specifically for brand registry. So I would just continue to get in contact with them. I try not to do things by email. I like to do it over the phone, because worst case scenario, I could ask to speak to a manager, I could speak to somebody else further along the chain of command, and they work pretty fast if you go that way.
Yeah, the way to get
and
things
what I
done
do
with,
is
was agree. The way you get things done with seller support is by calling on the phone. So I guess that makes more sense to me now. Their error code is because they were trying to change the brand name, and it says like that brand's already associated with that UPC. If you call if you call seller support, they should be able. I've changed those in the past, so I think you can make it happen.
Just in case anybody's having trouble in calling, because they do hide where to contact them. The way to do it is you want to download the app, the Seller Central app, and then in there's actually a help section, and I think you have to go like one more tier further, and then select Amazon FBA, and then one more tier further, then there's like chat, phone, and just select phone, and it'll like immediately ring you, and you can get in contact with someone.
Yep. Good tip. All right. We got one here that asked about, all right, we got a bunch of questions live now. If you're using your supplier to ship goods in Amazon, would you get insurance? If so, where do you purchase insurance? So the way I understand it, Rob, is that you are using your factory or supplier as your freight forwarder as well. And where do you get insurance? I've always purchased it through my freight forwarder. There's probably like third parties that you can purchase it from, but I've never personally done that. But you can, you could just ask your supplier, like, hey, am I able to purchase insurance? This is one of these things that's up to you. Like, I've sent like 1,000 shipments into Amazon. I think I remember like 2 or 3 that have actually had to use the insurance. It's like percentage wise, it's pretty low, but when it happens, you're happy to have it. ZR says, hey guys, with
next.
Yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead. Go ahead, Greg. I just want to read that one off.
With the coronavirus coming through imported packages from China, what do you think about the future of this type of business in case more obstacles have been made on the imported products, especially from China? I'm really not worried about this yet. I've been reading all this stuff in the news. We'll see how it plays out over the next few weeks. But if I think back over the past 5 years and working with a whole bunch of sellers throughout this process, there's always something going on that people are talking about as a reason why you shouldn't start this business. There's the threat of tariffs, or now there is tariffs, or there's I don't know, there's just always these little things that people are always worried about. So in my opinion, you just have to go for it and you just have to start it. And I mean, we're still gonna get stuff from China. So yeah. Go take the next one, Rolando.
All right. So it looks like Manzer's asking, hi, Greg. I'm planning a private label product, but may not have the brand registered before the first shipment arrives into Amazon UK. What shall I enter in the field on Amazon Seller Central in the brand field? Will I still be able to create my own listing on Amazon and own it? Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. So you don't need to be brand registered. It doesn't matter which store, if it's UK, US, you don't need to be brand registered. The only challenge is that going forward, once you do feel that complete that field under your brand name, you do want to make sure that it matches identically to the potential down the road trademark that you're going to be filing for. So I would do some initial trademark research and just to make sure that that name is not taken. And that's what I would use in that field. And like I said, it does not need to be trademarked as of yet. You can create a listing. You can start selling. The only challenge that could come is down the road. If the names are not identical, then it would be this back and forth having to deal with seller support to try to get that all changed out. So it's always good to try to just think ahead, do your initial research, and then kind of circle back and add that as the brand name.
Cool. Dan said, for some of us that are falling behind due to product research, can we get some support to leap past this obstacle? Good question. Yeah, absolutely. There's a few different ways you can go about doing it. Actually, Rolando, you're great at this. What's the best way for Dan to get some help?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not sure if you've reached out to support at freedombuilderbootcamp.com. That's one way to do it. Definitely, if you're looking to, it looks like it's the product research phase. I'll just I can go in and take a look at that. If you send it to support at freedombuilderbootcamp.com, they can tag me in those type of emails. So yeah, we could definitely get you some help and get that going. typically Facebook is probably not going to be the best place, or our Facebook group for specific product research challenges, because you don't want to reveal that information, right? So by email is probably the best way to handle that.
Another good thing is the other members of the group I've also seen have been like really helpful for each other, right? Because like everyone's kind of going through these similar type things, and so it's like it's nice to be able to talk to other individuals kind of like going through the same like challenges that you are. So that's another great place for help. Rob, I think we just increased the volume a little bit. Hopefully that's better. Rolando, take away the next one. Jacobus.
All right. It says, hi, Greg and Rolando. I created my listings and I have many variations. I thought I could add images, like lifestyle images, size description, etc., to the parent listing and just add the main image for each variation. But it seems like it does not work like that. Do I need to have detailed images for each variation, or is there an easier way around this? Unfortunately, the parent variation doesn't even matter. That's not what's going to be displayed when it comes to your particular product. It's going to be on the child level, right? So if there is a different color, or if it is a different size, then I would recommend that, you would need the images to match that. You want to have a good end user experience, right? You want the customer, when they receive it, that it matches the colors, or else that could be a negative review. So it would take a little more work up front in terms of getting images for all the different variants, but I would say put that in place prior to launching, because otherwise you could get negative reviews where the person could say, I ordered a pink and I got blue, or whatever the case may be. So just spell it all out in the listing as you create them.
Cool. I just told T-Hammer to shoot me a Facebook message, and I'll help out with some product research stuff. And looks like we have all the questions in this chat box done. You want to switch over some of the comments that were left earlier?
Yeah, let's take a look here. It looks like, well, there was only those two, but let's see if there's anything else. Anybody else have any questions? I mean, this week we talked about listing creation. So any listing related questions, or of course anything, the floor is open to you guys. So definitely want to take advantage of this time. Let's see here. It says, is there a module on reordering? So I imagine you're running low on stock and you want to reorder your product. It's actually, we could put something together, absolutely. I don't think that there is a specific video dedicated to that, but I could screen capture something and just put it on the.
Yeah, I was just thinking, as far as reordering, I don't treat it much differently than like the forecasting for the first order. Only now I have just more information when I'm placing my reorder, right? So like when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking, okay, like how long does it take? Like how long's the lead time? And now that I have a better understanding of how quickly it's selling, like how many units do I want to order? And besides that, like that's all there is to it. The first order is always the hardest. So at this point, you've kind of like made it past the hard point. And it should be a lot easier now. I mean, if you have specific questions around reordering, let us know. We're happy to help. But I don't know. I don't think there's enough content there to create a whole module around it.
Yeah. Looks like Holly is asking, do you guys have live chat to help with product research? Through an email, takes too long to get a response. Unfortunately, we don't have live chat for product research. But like I said, probably email is the best way. A lot of times think about it. A person, someone in our support team receives your information, and it could be some back and forth in terms of details that's needed. So that's why emails, just spell it all out, be as thorough in your product research. One of the challenges that we can't specifically tell you how to narrow or pick a product for you, but we can give some tips and pointers as to what to look for, what to look out for on a particular product.
Let's see. Can we do a micro seminar on VAs? We're happy to answer any questions you have around VAs. Just let me know, Peter, if you have any specifics or if you just want kind of general advice. Manzura Is if there is a key search word for a product that is a registered trademark, can it be entered in the backend keywords on Amazon? This brand does not sell on Amazon. Tech, the answer is technically no, it can't. Amazon says you can't do that. However, I'll also say that I do know a fair number of Amazon sellers do that and don't get caught. So it's like, try at your own, like, I guess use your best judgment when you're trying. And yeah.
All right. Looks like Susan asks, do you have a sample of the contract that you create with the supplier? We definitely do. I'll look for it here and I'll drop the link, Susan, for you, because there's definitely we do have a copy for you of that contract.
Let's see. Didn't we have that in the attachments of the shipping module, Rolando?
It should be there on the shipping module. It definitely should be. With every module, with every lesson, anything that any documentation that pertains to that lesson, it should be in the description section. So it probably won't display on screen, but if you look in the description section, there should be some links tied to that. So I will definitely get you that link. I think I got it here. So
T Hammer, let me look for your message right now. Happy to help. Rolando, you want to take the next one while I do that? Or are you looking?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, no, I was just looking for I got the link here, but let me go ahead and let's go to the next question. It's Vanessa, because you're handling T Hammer. I joined a bit late. Scrolled up. I joined a bit late. Did you guys talk about the question I left on the other comment box on Amazon blocking accounts if connected with the same network or public Wi-Fi? If so, I'll be happy to rewatch later. Yes, we did. We answered that. That was one of the first questions we answered, Vanessa. So yeah, you could always watch the replay. Greg was able to answer that question. Jeff is asking the next question. Greg, you mentioned when creating your listing, there might be some issues with using a brand name like ADT. So if I'm making a cell phone case for Samsung phones, do I have to be worried about using the brand name Samsung? And thank you both for all you both and the team and all the help. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. So
yeah, I can help out on this one. So this is like this is definitely a bit of a gray area. And the way I like to think about it is this, like, if the intention of putting the trademarked name into the title is to potentially like deceive the customer, then you can typically think about it as like against, I mean, Amazon terms of service, but also like against law. If the intent is not to like deceive the customer and it's more so like an accessory of that product or whatever else, then it's typically okay. But this isn't like clear-cut law. Like if you asked 5 different IP attorneys, they'd give you 5 different answers. But like just knowing kind of what I see like on Amazon work and what doesn't, that's kind of what I'd recommend. So
I'd add to that
also that
I was just going to add to that definitely on the back end, you want to avoid using those keywords. I think that's the more critical thing too. Forward-facing, people are doing searches. If it's a Samsung-related product, they need to know that it fits, their particular, phone, whatever the case may be. But on the back end is where you want to be careful and cautious and not use those keywords.
Cool. Hey, T Hammer, like I'm looking in my Facebook messages right now, both in the spam folder, the done folder, and the main folder. And I don't have a message from you in any of those. You said you also sent it last week, and that's why I wanted to call this out because I was a little worried. But I don't know. Maybe you could try to message that one to Rolando and see if it pops up in his inbox. In the meantime, Jacobus as well as Manzir sent something to look at. So,
all right. Let me take a look at my messages and see if I get anything here. Looks like Peter's asking general advice on VAs, top 5 things to use them for. I could take it from a different perspective, and I could tell you what not to use them for, because this is going to be so critical for your business. I think product research, you might want to stay away from that, because that is your bread and butter. Being able to learn the skill of being able to find products to sell on Amazon. I think that that's one thing you definitely don't want to outsource. In addition to that, maybe communicating and with suppliers, because it's part of the deal, right? Like, this deal making process is very critical skill to have as well. You want to be able to learn how to negotiate and get better prices on on the products that you're ordering. I would say stay away from those things. Things like PPC, that's definitely something that you can outsource, because it's very clear cut, and you can kind of weigh in and see how effective the person is doing, right? If they're making you money or if they're losing you money. So it's very quick. You can cut that off pretty fast, and maybe find some, but definitely do your vetting around that. I would also say, like, design work, anything related to design work is another area that you might want to outsource, because that going with someone that actually is a graphic designer and that actually does that for a living, definitely something that you can easily outsource. I don't know if there's anything that you would add to that list, Greg, as well, for outsourcing.
Overall, I think that's pretty solid. So Jacobus DM'd me in Facebook a few minutes ago, said, can you take a look at this listing? Let me know what you can improve. Jacobus, the listing you sent me doesn't have any reviews on it. So it's really, or like, that's my main way of knowing or understanding what to improve. I've never tried to improve upon a product that doesn't have any reviews. I guess, like, if you were really set on that particular product, you could probably look at some of the other similar listings to see what gets negative reviews for them. But essentially my strategy is to read the, low reviews and see what people don't like about it.
All right. So it looks like Ryan is the next question here. It says, I'm a bit unrelated, but curious on your take on new legislation with Amazon being responsible for not selling counterfeits, and how it might affect brands and importance of brand registry and branding products. Any insights on that, Greg?
Sorry, I was reading through my...
Oh, no worries.
Sorry, which one was it?
It's Ryan. It says, a bit unrelated. Curious your take on new legislation with Amazon being responsible for not selling counterfeits, and how it might affect branding and importance of brand registry and branding products.
Yeah. I actually think this is overall a positive thing. Like, this is definitely something that Amazon has caught like a lot of like slack for, right? Over the especially the past few years, and there actually are like losing customer trust over this. So like, I'm actually happy to see that there's legislature that requires Amazon to be more accountable. I guess I also understand this is a difficult problem to solve. But yeah, actually, like, you can go to like transparency.com. That's one thing that Amazon started. That's pretty cool. That's like a nice way to cut down on counterfeits. But like, yeah, I guess I understand that it is a difficult product to solve, especially when you're not getting goods directly from the manufacturer brand. So I actually did, I don't know why this just showed up, T-Hammer, but I just got this now. Oh, so I just got it. I see your message from January 6th now. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and shoot me the question, T-Hammer, I'm happy to help. Let's see. A VA is a virtual assistant.
Rob, okay, supplier. Rob asks, I sent my supplier the FNSKU codes and the text before had my brand name on it. I've since changed the title, but the FNSKU code text has not. Is that okay?
Yes. The FNSKU is assigned to an ASIN seller combination. So it makes sense that after changing your brand name, it's still the same ASIN. So you would it wouldn't have changed.
All right.
Susan,
Looks like Susan was able to get the. Yeah, no, Susan received the document. And she brings up a good point that there's the download section. So there's like a little icon on the video. It's like a little arrow pointing down. And that said download. If there is an accompanying outline for that video, not all videos have them because some videos are shorter than others and the content is easy to digest. If there's maybe a little more content heavy, then that's where there'll be a PDF download. And then yes, in the description, if it's just a link going out to a document on our site, then you just always look in the description below the video, and that's where you could find any outgoing links.
I got a DM from Dan. He said, when selling 2 different items on a listing on Amazon, we can actually send one item from a different to a consumer who purchases a bundle without having to create an initial bundle. How this is like a little bit of a hack. It's not like a Amazon setup thing. The way that you do it is you create a listing that's not FBA, but instead it's FBM, so fulfilled by merchant. When someone places that order, it will show up in your orders and it's up to you to fulfill it. When you go to fulfill it, you fulfill the orders through FBA, even though they didn't order the products on Amazon. So as a result, you can send one person 2 products through the Amazon fulfillment network to fulfill that FBM order. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit complicated. Once you have some more experience on Amazon, you probably kind of like get it a little bit more because, or I guess something to add there is whenever like you have your inventory in an Amazon, you can also fulfill other orders through their program.
All right. Looks like the next question is coming from, let's see here. Bumped up. How much? So Rob's asking, how much does lifestyle photos cost? And we talk about this in the video. There's good, if you're not going to do it yourself, obviously that's always going to be the more affordable way of doing it. But if that's not in the cards for you, you don't want to go that route, then I've had a lot of luck with productphotography.com. So if you just, I'll drop the link in the comments, and they have a pricing page there. So it's probably best just to kind of take a look because it'll show the different types of photos that they could take and what the price range, because it does vary on the number of photos that you're getting and so forth. So I'll just go ahead and drop that in the comments. You guys will have that to reference.
In the time between product shipping and officially launching, what should we be doing? Great things to do during this period are to work on creating your listing. This is also a great time to start, you can start learning about PPC. You can continue to do more product research to be looking for another product to sell. What else am I forgetting, Rolando?
I mean, it's just really optimizing your listing. I mean, it really is a good time to optimize. Really test those keywords. Do keyword scout and run some some tests. Image. I don't know if you mentioned that one. Images. Making sure that those are up and running. So yeah, that'd probably be the bulk of it.
All right. RLPV said, let's say you don't like the packaging material provided by the manufacturer. How do you communicate the quality or type of material for the package designed to the manufacturer? For example, cardstock quality, type of plastic, and thickness. They do have, like, of course, like official measurements for these kinds of materials. So like, I guess, but like if you have a piece of material that you really like, sometimes it's kind of hard to know, like, okay, what material, like what thickness is this? One option is you can send it to them. Alternatively, you could like get some calipers and try to take the measurements. Alternatively, maybe you could try to order a few different types of packaging off the internet that like the thickness or the types of plastics, the different ones, and like kind of test it out yourself. It's probably the best recommendations I have.
Yeah, what I've done is, just measure. Also the weight, like if it's a certain cardstock, it'll probably be a certain weight to it. The textures, photos, provide them photos of every angle under different lighting. My thing is that I try to give suppliers and manufacturers like as much upfront as possible, because I don't want to be doing this back and forth thing. So even if I think it might not be necessary, I still include it. Like I just provide as much information as possible. I'll go to maybe like Greg said, I'll order some samples, and a lot of times the descriptions will tell you like what the width is and all that. So just be as thorough as possible.
Where do you see the future of Amazon going? How sustainable is this business? Amazon continues to impress everyone, especially the public stock market, month over month and quarter over quarter. I have no reason to believe that's not going to continue into the future. Like, e-commerce sales are continuing to grow and are only a small portion of retail sales in America and even worldwide. Like, as that continues to grow, I think e-commerce is going to continue to grow, and Amazon's obviously the 800-pound gorilla in this space. So it's like, I don't know for sure where e-commerce is going to go or be 10 years from now, but I think the future is bright.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't really add much to that, but yeah, go for it. There you go.
Do you always use product manufacturer for the packaging as well? I try to always use the same manufacturer for the packaging. That way I don't have to work with multiple companies, and they can almost always do it. So if they say like, oh no, we don't create that packaging, then what you can say is like, well, will you find that packaging for me, and kind of like leave it up to them. Of course, they're gonna like put a little bit of a markup on it, but I think it's worth it. Jacobs says, hey Greg, thanks for the feedback. The link shows one of my own listing just created that hasn't launched yet. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me for like improvements if you were to sell this product. It makes a lot more sense now. I'm sorry, that was dumb. So feedback I have for you is, one, your titles are fairly short, and I know you can put a lot more keywords in them. Two, the first image, I really like how you show like the size of it by showing it fits in that other item. I also like that you show that it's waterproof. So all that's pretty solid. Let's see, your product description is just a couple sentences right now. That can obviously be a lot longer. So I think that's general feedback. I like the pictures of the first one, but those need to put into the rest of them. Yeah.
Let's see. Looks like Raymond has the next question here. He asks, hi, can we put a packaging image on our main image? What I like to do with the main image, it's very clear what Amazon's asking for. It's a product display on a white background. I would just put the emphasis on the actual product and not so much packaging, because that's where you can start incorporating those in your other images, your lifestyle images, so on and so forth. Unless the packaging is part of like the gift that it's supposed to come in. But ideally, I just like to display the product entirely and the best way possible. But definitely make use of all the different images that you can use on your listing.
Cool. Robson, my goods will be sent to Dallas, Texas. Will Amazon Prime only work for users near that area? No, Rob, what's going to happen is when your goods arrive at Amazon in Dallas, they're going to distribute them throughout the United States so that they're in distribution centers closer to the customers. But even if someone purchases one that day, they'll still send it, 2-day express. So Amazon Prime still works for everyone in the US. Another thing you might find though is when they first arrive at the warehouse, for the first like 24 hours, it says like fulfillment center transfer, and it's like what they're essentially doing is just distributing it to all the other fulfillment centers.
All right, this next question is for you, Greg. Raymond asks, hi, Greg. Recently, Amazon started to validate a brand name by asking product packaging with product in hand along with brand name logo. But I decided to print the FNSKU on packaging design, and my supplier is not ready to print just one packaging for me. How can we deal with it?
I don't think you need to show them the FNSKU in the picture. You know, I've seen this before. Like, one, I don't think the FNSKU needs to be in the picture. Two, I don't think it really matters if the FNSKU is in the picture or not. So I think I'd just send them in a picture of it. I think you should be fine. Rob said, can the support team evaluate our listing and offer advice when our product is launched? Rolando, take it away.
Yeah, so with the Freedom Builder Bootcamp, you do have one listing review. So what we're going to look at is just kind of give you some pointers and suggestions on what you can improve on, maybe some additional keywords. But yeah, with the Freedom Builder Bootcamp, we will review one listing. That was part of the whole program. So yeah, just remember, keep that email in mind, support@freedombuilderbootcamp.com, and provide obviously as much information, like the link directly to your product listing, and maybe a list of the keywords that you've used, just as much information that you have available to make the whole process more effective for you.
All right. Next one. Hallie said, hey guys, is it possible to communicate with you guys for help on product research through live chat? No, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, we don't have any live chat, but if you want to ask for help with your questions right in here, we're more than happy to help. Since we've answered all the questions, T-Hammer, if you're still watching, I'm monitoring my Instagram DMs on the lookout for the help you're looking for, so just shoot it over to me. I'm happy to help. What impact do you think the coronavirus will have on supply? Good question. I mean, no one really knows, right? The factories are off right now for Chinese New Year anyway. Well, most of them are still off. You know, it's like, so it's not currently negatively affecting the supply out of these factories, but honestly, I don't really know. Like, we'll keep an eye on it. It's always so hard to tell, right? If this is just something that's really like overblown by media, or if it's something that, yeah, I don't know. It's just really hard to say.
All right, looks like the next question is from Rob asking, hey Greg, can you give us any hints on what's next for Jungle Scout? So some of you may have watched today's webinar. Greg did a spectacular job. Maybe you want to talk about that. What's next?
Yeah, there's this really cool feature. You guys all have access to it. How it works is, actually should be able to show this. Maybe not. Oh, there we go. You can go into manage orders, and Amazon released this new cool thing where you can request a review through their platform, and it's way more effective than the other types of email campaigns. So what's cool is we released this thing with Jungle Scout where instead of having to click into this order and then request a review, and then I've already requested it, but otherwise you have to hit it again. Instead of doing that, you can just hit the request reviews on this page one time, and it handles all of them. So that's pretty sweet. So yeah. That's and as far as like what else is coming up, really just continuing to kind of like double down and help people find products more easily, and like help sellers just run their businesses better on Amazon. So I mean, there's going to continue to be functionality and improvements, and a lot of them come from you all. So I guess if you have anything, let us know in the chat box. I'd be happy to see if I can get on the roadmap.
All right. Tatiana has the next question, asks, hello, everyone. What do you think about Turkey instead of China? And I imagine that this is from the supplier standpoint. And another question, my company is registered in Romania. Is it enough to trade my product just in Romania, or should I do it also in the US? Thank you. I think that wherever you could get the best deal and the quality. So I think a lot of it really comes down to doing the initial legwork of finding, reaching out to these different suppliers. Why not compare the two? Maybe if you know that there are some quality manufacturers in Turkey, there's no reason why not to consider them. China, I will say one of the benefits of China is that you do have sites like Alibaba that are primarily, focused on China, so it's a little easier to communicate through these platforms. But if they have, some type of site that you can use, or you have a manufacturer supplier in mind, then definitely I would just vet the supplies. I would look at and see what what the quality, compare the quality, and then see what deals you can make. As far as trademarking, yes, I would say that you would want to trademark in the U.S. If you're going to be selling in the U.S. And it sounds like you are, so I would definitely trademark in the U.S.
So I'll add to that real quick, Rolando, that Amazon allows, sorry, I can't get the button right. Amazon allows trademarks from all of these areas as far as brand registries. Like if all you care about is brand registry, then they need to be registered. Your trademark needs to be registered through one of these offices. You said Romania, I think, is that right? If you said Romania,
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken, they're now part of the EU. And so, yeah, if that's what you care about, if you care about the actual IP protection, then it might be better to do it in the US. I don't know. I don't know if it really makes that big of a difference.
Awesome. All right. So Jacobus asks, thank you for the feedback on previous questions. I will launch my product soon in sync with the bootcamp. So probably during the next 2 weeks. Awesome. Congratulations, Jacobus.
Yeah, congrats.
What is a good amount to budget for my product launch?
Sorry, I was just trying to read this one more time. So as far as the product launch goes, I would, like, what I now recommend for product launches is pretty much like you run PPC more aggressively, okay, which is going to take a certain amount of money. I would recommend a budget of say like $50 a day. And then I would also give away now 30 units for free through the Amazon Vine program if you're brand registered. If not, then probably just like the PPC and some of the other methods that we talked about. But I guess when you're talking about budgeting, most people, like in their head when they're thinking about these businesses, they think about it more so as like cash flow and like how much cash is required. And like you can pay for your PPC out of your sales, like your giving away 30 units for free isn't necessarily like more cash out of your pocket. Like, of course, it's an expense for your business, but yeah, so hopefully that helps a little bit. So it's like, yeah, I think probably that answers it.
All right. So next question, Susan asks, one of my factories has told me they don't know when they'll return. Now, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon because what happens is it's like on a first come first serve basis. Like they shut down.
Oh no, Rolando, I think she's talking about because of the coronavirus.
Oh,
yeah.
Great observation.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to monitor this a little bit. No one knows exactly what's going to happen with it. So yeah, we'll kind of wait and see. And Vanessa, is that webinar available to rewatch? Yeah, you can find it on YouTube if we're talking about the bulk request review button. Oh yeah, there's the next question too.
Yep. All right.
Rolando,
Susan asks, how would you... Oh yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Susan asks, how would you estimate your initial order from the supplier? Also, do you have a way to see all the websites that you are referencing in the sessions, freight forwarders, inspectors, brand registry, etc.? So the second question, that's something that I'm working on, is going through each of the videos and finding all the different links that are referenced. We tend to display them on the video itself, but it was a good observation that was brought up last week, where I maybe just start to include those links inside of the description so that you can just click on it and it'll shoot you out to whatever it is that was referenced. So definitely that is in the works. And how would you estimate your initial order from the supplier? What would you recommend there, Greg?
I forget which module we talk about this in, but the short answer to this is I usually predict for 3 months worth of sales. And I usually think about it in such a way that I would rank, let's say like in the top 10 for like my main keyword. So I look at how many units the sellers in like the top 10 are selling, and then I try to predict that of how many I would sell for 3 months. And I think that's a good amount for an initial order. If you want to try to like not run out of stock, essentially, if you want to be more conservative to like test it out a little bit more, it can be less than that. Rob,
Awesome.
how does
Rob's
it
got a good
feel
question here.
to be helping all these Amazon sellers, and what keeps you motivated? It's awesome, man. Like, I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship. Like, for me personally, it had such like a huge impact on my life that like it's something that like I just care a lot about. I enjoy like speaking about it. I love going to local events here in Austin and helping other entrepreneurs. So yeah, that right now that's gets me really excited. What keeps you motivated, Rolando?
I'd say that I'm very much a believer in, like, I love to read, and I love to find inspiration through maybe stories of individuals that have surmounted some type of obstacle, right, against all odds. So I just love to go back to that. A lot of times, like, if, working out, while I'm working out, I'll just have like some motivational talk, and that gets me just fired up. And I'm listening to some motivational speaker, just kind of jazzing me up at the start of my day.
Hallie says, I'm wondering if it's possible to sell in the US and Canada markets at the same time. Yes, you can sell in as many markets simultaneously as you want. Rob, can Amazon recognize if you get your family and friends to review your product? Amazon is extremely sophisticated on their like review like manipulation or detection. So yes, I'm quite confident they will recognize. You probably ask like, okay, how do they do this? They actually, there was this like myth floating around like 2 or 3 years ago that Amazon knew who like all your Facebook friends were, and that's how they detect it. I was like, no, they don't. That's BS. And then after all of the Facebook privacy stuff came out, that was one of the things that was like exposed, that actually Amazon was buying who everyone's Facebook friends were to detect if they were leaving reviews. But they do it other ways too, just like if you're seen in similar areas, if you log into the same IP, like there's always, or like, if you ever send a gift to someone's house and someone else logs in the same house as them. So it gets like pretty sophisticated. Like you probably won't get suspended for it, but I pretty confidently say that it wouldn't it wouldn't stick, it would get taken down.
Yeah, they remove those types of reviews. They can figure it out somehow.
Max says, what do you guys think about having lots of products which sell a few units a day? This is never a strategy that I've used, although I know it works for some people. The challenge with this is like essentially the launch and selling enough to start to like rank well and get a few reviews. But yeah, I don't, let's see here. Like if it's probably easiest, or I would probably recommend for you to follow what we explain in the boot camp, get like your feet wet with it, and then go from there, as opposed to trying to like come up with a little bit of a strategy yourself to start. The reason for that is like I just see like a lot more beginners kind of like get stuck in these certain areas. So to have a boot camp with a whole cohort of people you're working through it together with, have like the week by week plans, it tends to just work out a little bit better. So those are my thoughts.
All right. Rob asks, Does Jungle Scout hold any events? If so, I would love to go to one. What's your answer? I know
We
there was a
do
meetup
the
at one
meetup,
time.
like if you go to meetup.com, we hold the Austin meetup in our office sometimes. Other than that, we go to a lot of events. We usually have booths at a lot of events, but we don't like hold other big events ourselves. So that said,
All right.
is my Amazon FBA business going to be affected by the coronavirus issue because we heard the manufacturers are out of the hook? Yes, it's possible that it's would be affected. What I believe would be the most likely scenario is like they're delayed another week going back to work because it takes a little while to like contain the virus, or like where they feel comfortable that it hasn't spread more than that. Like if you're thinking like doomsday scenarios, it could spread like crazy and it could be really bad and really affect like the delivery a lot. I mean, like we don't really know, but just in general in life, I try to be really careful about not worrying about things out of my control too much. Otherwise, it's really easy to lose sleep over them. And 99% of the time, it has no effect on you.
And I would add to that in this moment, the goal is to just continue to reach out to these suppliers, these manufacturers. Don't let that be cause to delay or wait, because remember they're coming through like you're being queued up. So if you wait until who knows when, they're just going to take it like first come first serve in terms of like responding to your inquiry. So I would just continue and reach out to as many suppliers, as many manufacturers as possible. I try to cast as wide a net, and you're going to notice that they almost tend to rule themselves out. Some won't respond, or some do respond, and it's an incomplete response. And then the ones that really that stand up, like the ones that fully answer your questions, those are the suppliers that you're going to want to work with and move forward. But in this during this time, don't stop, don't delay, don't let that be cause for concern.
T Hammer, I just took a look at your message, and I think that actually looks like a pretty good opportunity on Amazon. I would have to I obviously don't know the margins of it right now, but if I'm basing it off of how much demand is there versus how much competition is there, it looks like a pretty good opportunity. At first glance, I wasn't quite sure how you'd differentiate or improve your particular product over the others. So I'd be thinking about that, but I think you're off to a really good start here.
Rob, there's a question for you. How do you keep your teeth so white? How do you?
I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, actually.
All right. And Jacobus asks, how many days, weeks should I schedule to launch my product?
Essentially how it works is there's not a official start and stop day. It's more so are you receiving the amount of sales you want, or are you going to try to artificially inflate it a little bit more? Or not artificially inflate it, but inflate it at an unprofitable rate. So it's more so a gradual decline versus just a launch and I'm stopped and then it's like that. So yeah. But ballpark, let's call it a couple weeks.
All right. Steve asks, with regards to reviews, I have noticed that some products that have only been on sale for a couple of months, but that have 300 plus reviews, although possible, I find it improbable that these are genuine. Can you shed any light on how they do this, as it really puts me off certain products, as it's going to be difficult to compete with competitors that don't play by the rules?
I would actually say that I would be fairly confident that these are genuine. And I know that it seems a little bit hard to believe, but Amazon's just so strict on this now that you'll have real people who purchase your product and they can't leave a review because you've gotten too many reviews lately. I was just working with someone who launched their product on Kickstarter, and they sold 2,000 or 3,000 units through Kickstarter, and it was awesome. And then they got on Amazon, and they started selling. They launched in November. Like in November, they got like 800 or 900 sales, and during that period, I forget, they got like 40 or 50 reviews, but they were also asking their Kickstarter people, which is allowed as long as you don't do it like in a biased way, if they would also mind leaving a review. And like none of them would stick. Like some of the people were getting denied because essentially the ratio of reviews to sales was out of balance, that Amazon didn't allow it. Other ones just because it wasn't a verified purchase. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I'm just like, they're just so strict on it now that like I would actually say, like, sure, there might be a few fake reviews in there from friends or family or whatever else, but I haven't seen anyone or any of these like hacks or secret tricks or whatever in the past like 6 months that could get you 300 fake reviews in a couple months.
All right. Looks like Vanessa is asking, the next question is Page Oneify legit? It looks like what they do is they focus on PPC, running your PPC campaigns. That's the beauty of PPC in general, is that it gets you on page one from day one. I always stress that because you're paying to get that spot if you run, if you do a good job with your PPC campaigns. So it's not that they are legit or not. I would say that in the early stages, that you run your own PPC campaigns so that you get familiarized with it. It's probably one of the most easiest platforms in comparison to say like Facebook ads or Google ads. Amazon PPC is fairly straightforward. So I would say get familiar with it so that you can vet in the future if you do decide to outsource that part of it. You can know if a person is actually a legitimate business or not. Another option would be, even like if you're looking to outsource, is to use Jungle Market to find someone that would manage your PPC campaigns. We do vet the different sellers that are on there, but like I said, in the early stages, learn as much as you can. We're going to be in future modules. We'll go in depth on how to run a PPC campaign and what we would recommend to get going. And I would say just start there.
I'm pretty confident. Like I just learned about this service for the first time, but I just looked at it. I'm pretty sure we'll teach you everything that they do in the boot camp. As much as they'll probably try to claim it, they don't have any like secret sauce. Like we know how to launch products on Amazon with PPC. So, and then yeah, save your $500, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Max says, what do you think? Should I wait till my product gets some reviews and then begin launch a campaign, or otherwise? That's the more cost-effective way to do it, because your product will convert better when it has a few reviews. If you have brand registry, what I would do is I would do like 10 products through Vine, get a few reviews, then start it. If you don't have brand registry, it's not quite as easy to get reviews. So from that standpoint, I would probably just start the PPC campaigns right away, even without any reviews.
All right, Rob asks, from your data, which months are slower for sales?
So of course Q4 is going to be the highest month, but I mean as you can imagine, depending on the product, it's going to vary. So there's two ways you can look at it. One is through Keyword Scout. Let's just say marshmallow sticks. The way you look at it, right, is you just expand this and you see which months more than others. The other way that's a little bit more sophisticated in Opportunity Finder, let's just do the same thing. The modeling that they use I bet these aren't going to be very seasonal, but the modeling they use, let me do something seasonal, to create the seasonality inside of Opportunity Finder is more sophisticated. It doesn't take into account just this keyword, but a bunch of other stuff as well. So let me do something with bunch. I guess that's a new niche. Anyway, those are the two different ways to go about doing it. Let's Let's see. We got time for
All right.
one or two more questions.
Looks like
guess there's only one left.
Sadet has the next question. Yeah. It says, okay, I'm really considering to start with the German market because it's growing more rapidly and has less competitors in the US. As a non-German speaker, would that be a bad move?
I would say not necessarily. Keep in mind that you have to write a listing in German, which isn't that big of a deal. You can hire a translator, or you could use Google Translate, but it'd be like a little bit janky. Then, I mean, other than that, really the only other thing is if customers message you, you do have to respond in German. But I know there's a few services that will respond for like $1 per ticket. And honestly, you hardly get any customer support requests through 3P sales anymore. So what do you think, Rolando? Do you agree with that, or you have anything to add?
I mean, if the U.S. market is an option, and if that, I would say it's not a bad launching country, just because it is the you're gonna get the biggest consumer, right? So I think that's always a good alternative as well. I mean, yeah, you could target Germany, but I always like to get proof of concept first inside the U.S. market and see how well received it is. It just moves a lot faster, and I think that's a good launching platform. If this is your first time selling, then as you get more experience, then you can consider other markets because they are going to present their own challenges. Like Greg said, you're going to have to be able to translate the listing. You're going to have to be able to respond to customers. Not a deal breaker, but it's just a little bit more of a learning curve than using the U.S. marketplace as your launching platform.
Cool. Well, this has been fun. Thank you all very much for tuning in. It's always fun getting to chat with you and answer some of your questions. Rolando, it's been fun. Thank you also for tuning in, and I will we'll see you guys next week. Adios.
Keep crushing it, Freedom Builders.